So your cricket career finishes, and then down the road you become a producer at Sky, and you become the executive producer of Sky. You were there for 13 years. You made an interesting comment last night in your speech, how it was like entering into a cool chamber, not a lot of unity and teamwork and other things. Anyway, things were going swimmingly for you as the cricket producer until one day the bosses called you into in their office and said, Martin, you're fired because of something you've alluded to this morning. You said here on Radio Sport about a New Zealand program, I think it was called Leading Teams, which you didn't like. Why did Sky TV fire you for something you said on radio which had nothing to do or was anything about Sky Television?
Don't know. I don't know. I just, as said in the book, I just think that the CEO kind of snapped. He's very big, as I was to find out. And I had heard him once, I think 3 years earlier, talk about cheerleading New Zealand cricket. That's what we're there for. And yes, we're there to tell, promote the sport that we're covering. No question about that. But the sport was not promoting itself very well. And I felt that in the case of John Bracewell bringing in this Leading Teams, that enough was enough for these youngsters. I wasn't in the dressing room, but I was told by, in fact, Roger Mortimer told me, and I revealed it on air. And it was a mistake. I apologised for it because I was speaking as a former captain, and I was on holiday.
So you agree there was a conflict of interest there?
Look, I'm an executive producer of Sky, and my role is to work with New Zealand cricket. And from 1999, when I had started the job with Chris Doig and Martin Sned, and I had forged a good relationship based on that. John Follett received 2 letters.
Weren't New Zealand cricket being too sensitive here? Because it turns out in your book that you reveal that it was New Zealand cricket that were unhappy with your comments here on Radio Sport, and so they go to Sky and says jump, and Sky jumps all over you. And I'm thinking, it doesn't reflect terribly well on either Sky or New Zealand cricket, does it? I mean, Sky seems so almost paranoid that they might lose the cricket contract, that they don't want to get offside with New Zealand cricket, so they throw you under the bus. But there's no one else in New Zealand television that would pay the sort of money that Sky can for the cricket rights, so they're never going to lose the cricket rights, are they, if they don't want to? And yet they seemed so sensitive to the criticisms of New Zealand cricket, they went after you.
Yeah, I was distraught that I didn't get a second chance or even a warning, really. I mean, I just got nailed. And if I'd made mistakes in the past, like, for example, the Bracewell comment, or the comment about not interviewing him, then I was never informed or warned about that was poor behaviour from an executive producer, and so that was it. It was just I was gone.
But then, in a very peculiar thing, they turn around and say, "Look, we're going to fire you as a cricket producer, but we want you to go on air as a cricket commentator."
I didn't get that at all, and I said so. Here's the thing I think happened is that I had for 3 or 4 years gone to John Follett on July the 1st in my diary, and I'd said, John, is there something else I can do in Sky? I just need a break. It's been 7 years. I loved working under Kevin Cameron, but I was in the middle of a family situation, which is not easy in a corporate environment. And I just said, is there something else I can do? And he said, I'll keep it in mind. Well, there was nothing really that he obviously felt I could do until I made a mistake. And then he just said, right, you can go and run the rugby channel. And that was a real blow to me because I didn't see the rugby channel as anything special. I thought it was a demotion. It certainly wasn't a promotion because the pay stayed the same.
What do they call it? A sideways promotion?
And then the commentary comment just kind of, I don't know. In the end, I gave up mediation and I just decided to cop it on the chin, take the opportunity to do something different, and I embraced the rugby channel wholly. It disappointed Lorraine that rugby was back on the table, with respect to her former husband. But I gave it my best, the rugby channel. I loved it. In fact, the people I worked with, the Keith Quinns and Steve Davies, and
speaks very highly of you.
I mean, they were probably the 3 best years of my time at Sky in a funny way.
Getting back to Sky, you later on in the chapter, there's a quite revealing chapter about Sky where you fire some fairly heavy broadsides at them. You accuse Sky TV of, quote, becoming nothing more than a cheerleader for New Zealand cricket, and all that matters is the bottom line. Do you still think that's the view of Sky? Is that your view now? Is that the case when you look at Sky TV now? Cheerleader for New Zealand cricket?
Yes, I think it's very clear that they want all of the sports productions to be 100% positive.
Because they never really touched the
behind all sports.
Taylor Hessen thing, did they?
No.
The commentators didn't touch it. So,
and I think that it just all comes down to the fact that as a public company, because that's when really the mood of Sky changed, when we became a public company, and budgets and bottom line and cutting out the excess fat and creativity went out the window. That's really, for me, when the fun went out of working at Sky, as opposed to or compared to the time when Nate Smith was, and Sky were losing a lot of money at that time as well because they were a very new company. But when we became public, the rules changed and communication stopped. And basically you were boxed into your own little silo of, there's your budget, deal with it, and don't you dare say a word about negatively about the sport you're covering. And that's not always easy. 99% of the time you are promoting the sport. And we were promoting the sport. And every now and then you do need a reminder. But to be sacked over one mistake, I really struggled with. And I really struggled with, I suppose, working there from that moment on. And it was a huge relief to leave last year.